Yep. And we here, man. Once again. We are back. We are back. We are back. Back with another one. Man, me and Go P was having these discussions. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Everybody going live it now. I was trying to do it a little bit early so I won't interrupt. You got perfect timing live right now. You got Professor Black Ops. Just was over there looking at him. I was like, man, I'm trying to do my show, but I'm over here trying to support and will and deal with the other guys in this space. Shout out to Professor Black Ops, man. Good with the tech and always, uh, I would say his little brother because they both in the field, but Keep It Tech is a little younger, so I'm gonna call him his little brother. But yeah, and we got time today, y'all. We got time today. So me and the guy we were having a discussion, Gold Professor. Y'all go over there and check him out, Gold Professor, his podcast and everything. We were having a discussion about the mosquito, and nobody noticed the mosquito bites you until you feel pain from the itch from the mosquito biting you and sucking the blood. You know, most of the time, if you see a mosquito, you can actually catch them beforehand. But for a mosquito to land on you, I should have did this whole thing because I was off today, so should have broke it down. Did the thing. Everybody join up and check each other chats out and stuff. But when it come down to it, the main discussion we was having, I'm gonna say that for later. But yeah, it was funny just talking with him, and we was looking at the whole thing with the mosquito and the whole purpose and things behind it to the point, where we start going back and forth. What does the mosquito actually represent? You know, and just like the thumbnail, fight the bite, avoid, plan, and stop. And I'm gonna come in. I'm at it from a money, you know, transfer first. I'm gonna build on, the whole circle, and I might even drop the link to where people can come up. But first off, proper planning, knowing things to avoid situations, planning for just in case if things do happen, you can plan to be right or plan to be wrong, but the plan is there to stop it. So to avoid, pitfalls. Like I said, I'm not a millionaire. I'm more of like a thousandaire. In some cases I can be a hundredaire at times. People don't know what a hundredaire is. Just you have multiple hundreds. You don't really get up to 1,000, and when you get to 1,000, that's when you become a thousandaire. But for the most part, I'm on this journey with y'all. You know, I'm out here putting in the work like y'all putting in the work. Some people work harder than others. Some people just, live life, vicariously through other people and don't really have nothing else to stand on or stand for. But for the most part, though, to avoid situations, you gotta, gather the knowledge, to enact to, like I always talk about life insurance. That's one of the key things that you can use to create generational wealth, you know. And coming from a situation like the mosquito, you never know when something's going to happen. If you knew the time of your death and knew the exact time, place, and everything you was going to die, and to the point there was someone told you there was no way of stopping it, you would actually live life to the fullest. You know, you would take more chances to get better rewards for yourself. You know, you would not hold back on different opportunities that present itself to you, to the point of you being afraid. The main objective is, when you actually notice, it puts more of a, how can I put this? Some more of a situation to where you always at go. You're willing to try anything, because for the most part, when it comes down to it, the fear is already gone. You know the time and the place in which you're gonna die. So everything in between that, you either it's gonna be a good gain or a loss in life. You can go skydiving, it'll probably be you could never die. But the point of it is you might be a paraplegic, you know. Only thing you know of that you're in a hospital bed and you had a major injury. And you know that major injury is about 5 years from now. But you could say, well, I'm invincible until that moment. But who knows, you might have jumped off a bridge 5 years before and hurt yourself. And that, pretty much put you in that coma state of mind to where you're at the hospital like that. So literally, if you try to cheat death and thinking that you're invincible, it's not going to be in your great favor. Same thing, with the issue of you knowing that you're going to die at this time and, knowing you're laying up in the hospital, because of an injury, you might be a little more cautious to do things. You might gonna say, well, I know I'm gonna die in 5 years, so I need to get myself prepared for my family. I need to get everything to avoid this and avoid this and avoid this and avoid this to have a better outcome, you know. So that helps you understand things. And it puts you in the mind state of planning. You know, I gotta get my wife, my kids straight, I gotta get my mom's, dad, I gotta my daughter, everybody needs to be taken care of. Auntie, grandma, all of them need to know. I can't tell them what's going on because that might be one of the stipulations of you knowing your time and date not to say anything to nobody. You just got to continue living life. So, with that being said, you have to move in a way in which you have to hold, you're sworn to hold a secrecy that could potentially help somebody like your family, but also hurt them at the same time. So, when it comes down to it, there's some things to gather. You know, there's some things that you got to actually have an understanding with and, go through the process and it is what it is. You know, when it come down to it, it's all pending on you, the relationship, and you know how you react to it. Uh-oh, there go the number one. Where I gotta go over there to my YouTube. Despite my thing, I gotta see if Honey is a mod over here. So might make you a mod, Honey. Okay. Oh man, I ain't got no mod. Dude, I'm tripping. I thought he had him a mod. Hold the. I thought you was already a mod, bro. I'm tripping. I don't even go over here on my phone as much. All right, you should be a mod now. Okay, there you go. Oh, whatever, honey. I can take that wrench back. See, that's why I never get on the chat like that, because you be knocking me off my game. I be trying to remember the stuff I'm saying, because, I ain't wrote no script down. This all off the dome. Yeah, and I thought you already had a wrench. Yeah, so when it come down to it, man, then you're going into the planning side of things, and that poses the question about your planning, with your family, your friends, and all that, and it plays a big, big, big deal, you know, and to stop. It's just plain and simple, to stop the bleeding. You already know you're gonna have an issue that's going on. You don't want the next generation to go through something that you went through. Like I've always said this, and it's supposed to be true in life. It was always pushed in, the later years of the our forefathers, our great grandparents and stuff. That if I was a nurse or something, close this door from these kids. But if I was a nurse, then my son would be a doctor. You know, if I was a truck driver, my son would own a company. And so the biggest thing is, yeah, these bad kids, man. Yeah, but like I said, stopping the bleeding. When it comes down to it, a lot of these, situations occur when you don't plan. You know, you can avoid the inevitable. You're gonna die eventually one day, so you plan things out. That let's say when your life do stop, you have things in order. You know, and basically, me and the guy was having a conversation. Go, professor was going through the situations of, I know I don't like to talk about this whole gender war and stuff like that because personally, I don't care about none of it. At the end of the day, men always have grievances with women, and women always have grievances with men. When it come down to it, it always depends on the person. You have people that never had an issue with the opposite sex, and you have people that always had issues with the opposite sex. It depends on you and your state of mind and the way you move. Understanding that me and Go P have this Go Professor have to talk all the time, because we talk about things and potentially could be on a panel or just having a discussion of one another thoughts on things. And when it comes down to it, a lot of times we go back and forth with this about the space in which it represents, how people move, because men can be one way, women can be another way. But, in my opinion, like I told them, you know, you see the avoid, plan, and stop. So, to a situation when a female get with her, she's giving you a representation of herself. It's up to you to figure out who that person is and avoid them at all costs, have a plan and a strategy and, in the end, stop dealing with that person. And that be the biggest issue with some people that, they can't avoid it. They like what they like. And my opinion, like I told him, there are guys and women that actually want to be in these relationships due to the vanity of that person, either by their looks, the money they have, or just the representation of them. And so, therefore, the level of understanding going back and forth between them and, you know, what do they represent, how they move, how they carry themselves. Oh, dog, everybody come in. Yeah, them these telemarketers. But sorry about that. Yeah, but when it comes down to it, man, I mean, it's just the crazy part that we have that discussion. And also what I say with the women as well, because women always said that there's not a good man out there. And the same concept applies, to avoid the men that show you one thing but do another. And we see they do that, you have a plan to stop dealing with them. You know, we always hear that there's no good men out there, but there's a representation of good men in which women don't like to follow. The same rules apply for men. There's a good representation of what a real woman is, but to the degree, the rule of thumb, certain men don't like to follow. Looks are a big issue with men and women. The less attractive women and men get less opportunities to be with women, you know, until they get a little older or they, make a little more money, because the potential of finding a mate nowadays is the vanity, the looks, which, are the plus for people. And to uphold, you know, the vanity of them being, having some type of money, something bringing to the so-called table, shout out to Mrs. Z doing air quotes, but like bringing something to the table. I mean, from both sides, I hear these arguments day in and day out. The people who don't have this arguments are just stressing about life. They're the ones that are winning and enjoying. If a woman don't holler at you, so what? Move to the next one. That's a particular woman you enjoy or you want to be with. She don't want to be with you. So what? Move to the next one. Having an understanding that you're not gonna get what you want, you know. And a shout out to Sirrism, this is not Burger King. You can't have it your way. You know, you might want the Big Mac, but this is Burger King. You got to get the Whopper. A lot of people fail to realize that in relationships. When it comes down to it, when you assess the situation, the person that you want to deal with, the pimp say it all the time. I choose who choose me. And it's a great understanding because that's why their game is so good when it comes to, women and the vice for men too as well. When it comes to the ladies, if you choose who rocking with you, it's a better fit, But all understanding, I'm not forcing nobody to get in no relationship. It's all about who you like, you know. Have an understanding the person that truly adores you or wants to be with you, they're gonna show you that each and every time when you deal with them, And too many people fail to realize that, you know, the vanity of looking at someone for their beauty or their money, that's always the biggest issue. You know, you'll have men saying how, well, man, this woman, she's so fine. Man, she's this. And, man, look at this girl on IG. Man, she got a banging body. She this and that. And me and Go P said, now that is the mosquito. That is the mosquito. To a man dealing with a woman on IG, that is your mosquito. You don't notice the issues with her. You don't notice, the kids, even though she said she had them. You don't notice none of the flaws until the pain occurs. Once the pain occurs, that's when you have the issue. When the pain occurs, that's when you have the issues. And, basically I told Go P, I said, well, that's the whole thing. That's what off is for. I said, go professor. Now, we can say that those IG models, because I basically, we had the discussion saying that the IG models is most of these guys' weakness. They like them type of chicks. The point of it is they know that they're bad for them, but the point of it is, men, we look at beauty. Women look at the looks. You know, women are lookers as well. When it come down to it, you got a guy that's, the security at the club versus one of the guys that walk in a suit. You're gonna push over the security guard to go to the guy in the suit. But little do you know, the guy in the suit just wears a suit, but he don't actually have no corporate job. He's actually a security guard at a bank. While the security guards there at the club both have jobs, both wear uniforms. But to the degree, this guy's at work. You know what he's doing right now? The guy who's wearing the suit, it's a 50-50 toss up. Because he has a nice suit on, he could be the best man or he could be the worst man. Same thing when it applies to the women, You have this deal with the women as well. 50-50 toss up. She can be an IG model. She can be the best woman, cook, clean, provide everything. Or she can be the worst woman, you know, all the worst things, and that's when it comes down to that mosquito bite. And like I said, looking at the thumbnail to avoid, plan, and stop. Once you find that someone, shows their true colors, stop. You're already at the last point. You've already avoided so many of these women before. You've planned to deal with, a better woman. That's the whole mating process. You pick according to what you like. Now, for those who don't, you know, then so be it. You know, if you plan to deal with the worst of the worst, you can't get mad at the outcome. I keep saying this about the oops baby conversation we have. If you deal with a woman just for sex, you got to get whatever comes with it. You know, I said this before. I've had sex with, big women, and to me, there's nothing wrong with the size of the woman. Long as the woman, looks pleasant. That's my thing because both has the same, issues when it come with attitude. You have a bigger woman might have attitude, a slim woman have attitude. So I'm more or less looking at the person besides the whole vanity of, all that. If a woman is, slightly bigger, she can lose weight. There's a limit to which, I'll deal with a chick, but the point of it is, if she's somewhat of a, a plus size, I could deal with that no problem. You know, that's the whole reason we both can go to the gym together. We both can get fit. She might never had the right guy encouraging her, sitting her down, telling her the weight is going to be a problem, you know. So in the end, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, it all depends on the way you look at a woman. Because I say this all the time. I laugh at this. Me and my wife, we talk. I tell her, I said, my 10 is not no one else's 10. You know, as a collective, as men, we can say, this woman is a 10, this woman is a 9. We have the argument all the time about Beyonce. Is Beyonce a 10 or not? Is Kelly over her or under her? We can have that argument all day. But the point of it is, your selection of female versus my select. Me and Gold Professor had the same argument as well. You know, he said some lady, Snow Allegra, never heard of her, seen her, she was nice. I said Rihanna was better than her. That, in my opinion, she's better. In my opinion, Kelly is better. But to him, we had the talk. If it's a difference in opinions. My 10 is different than his 10. The viewpoints are different. I could say, what's one of them IG model chicks with the was it BBL? She might be a 10 in my book because if I like shapely women. But the point of reference is, it comes back to the mosquito bite. You never notice it until it happens. You know, the biggest issue a lot of men and women have to avoid it. I always get this understanding from women all the time. There's no good men out here, and we hear this all the time as a joke. It's the men that you're dealing with. Same thing with the men. I say the same thing. You know, it's the circle. If you constantly going to the club to trying to find a woman, same club at least, you're gonna always get the same results. If you're always looking for women in the club, you're gonna always get the same results. Most of the time, you might have a decent woman. Why not try somewhere outside the club? You know, speak to someone in the grocery store. That's how, the older people did it at one point. Coffee shops. I had a woman hit on me one time in the grocery store when I bought a sandwich. She was saying that my sandwich looked so good, she wanted to order the same sandwich I got. I knew what it was, but I'm married. I'm not going that route. I told, yeah, thank you. And before it even got too big, I would have said something. But she seen I wasn't interested, and then she backed down. You know, she actually got to a point where she tried to make herself available. But, the more she threw signs, and I kind of, spoke my piece and then just moved on. So she got the hint after the second time of me and her talking, but it was nothing serious. Never dissed her, never, kind of, nah, just let her down real easy. I could have came with the whole, I got a wife, just like I hear some of the women do. Hey, I got a boyfriend, I got a husband, back up. Well, ma'am, I just wanted to tell you, you got tissue on your shoe from coming out the bathroom. And sometimes it look awkward, but it is what it is. But, like I said, regularly, men and women gotta actually have an understand. You know, the people that they pick ultimately, you know, that's their outcome. You know, that's the circle you want to move in. That's the people you actually want to deal with. Until you start changing that mindset, you're gonna always run into those type of people. Changing your surroundings. Don't move and deal with these people like the way you've been dealing with them. You know, there's no shy to that. If literally you keep going after a certain particular type of woman and keep getting the worst result or a bad result, sometimes you got to have a sit down to yourself. I always talk about this about knowledge yourself. A lot of people fail to realize your biggest cheerleader is you. You know you're doing wrong. You out here partying. You out here doing whatever. Is it beneficial for you? When you get up in the morning with that hangover, can you do a hangover every day? Is that cool to do? You know, for the women, the what's the whole thing with the hot girl summer? It's fun. You deal with the man, you be promiscuous and you have your fun, but in the end, are you comfortable with the results? If you are, then by all means go for it. But to the degree for the men and the women, you're gonna get old. So you gotta think about that and put that into consideration as well. You know, having an understanding the way you move now, been long term effect. People change in life. That's why I say marriage is not for error for most people. You got to have that mindset and be willing to work through things and change. You know, tit for tat. If you do something to someone does it to you, you don't like it, you're ready to go. Hey, maybe you shouldn't have started it. You know, and I hear a lot of guys talking about stuff in this relationship situations with women, and it all boils down. You know, are you prepared to deal with it? That's why we have so many issues with the women going off the meat rack with the guys because they know they can hit them in the pocket with child support. Same thing with the men going off the meat rack and knowing that a situation could occur. Both situations are wrong, but at the same time, they do happen with the premise of control. Pick your battles. No one is going to show you their true self 100% until they're really comfortable around you. And until they get comfortable around you, you know, you have to always have your guard up, stage two, to a plan and know who you're dealing with to stop avoiding with them, just stop dealing with them in general. And, that's my biggest thing that I keep trying to tell people in this space: accountability. You got to, worry about yourself in the situations. Everybody calling me now. You got to worry about yourself in the situations, and you got to have an understanding of what you're dealing with. Your biggest issue is not your girlfriend. Your biggest issue is you. You chose to deal with that person. That's technically a representation. If the funny thing is, I heard someone say this: if you have a problem with the person you're dealing with, then you chose wrong. You chose to do. I mean, having an understanding that the person is going to show you a representation of you to you, cut them off early versus down the line. everybody has that telltale sign where you kind of shake that off and say, nah, I'm gonna let that go. I was looking at this video and it was actually kind of funny that this woman was in a feminist group. It was a actual poetry group because she was a homemaker. Didn't have no kids, but her and the guy was together, and um, it really didn't base the story whether she was working or not for the most part. But she was in a poetry group, and one of the ladies were talking to her so much and was giving her so much, feminist rhetoric. Like I said, I don't really do these topics like this, but it was quite interesting that the young lady, after talking with the man for so long, after talking with the woman for so long, she came home and told her husband that he's treating her wrong. She's not getting a 50-50 breakdown in the house. She doesn't have too much of a say so for things. And the man couldn't understand it. So she took it upon herself to have an intervention with her father and mother to kind of break it down in front of them that it was going to be the last straw, and not thinking that the guy would leave her. So the guy actually didn't leave. He just told her that he's going to take account into all the things that she's saying. And if she wants a 50-50 split, then he'll do everything 50-50. But if it doesn't work after that, he's leaving their relationship after 7 years. Now, the mother, which is her mother, is going to say, well, what is he doing to you is this bad? And her saying was, he's not letting me live. He doesn't let me make decisions in the house. Like, he doesn't let me do anything like I'm a child. And so the mother was like, well, is he beating on you or anything? And she was like, no, he doesn't let me do this and that. And so the mother was like, are you crazy? And the first thing the mother asked, was she on drugs? The dad came in after figuring out she really wasn't on drugs. He was like, well, what's going on? Because we still don't get why this man or what he's doing to you, but, kind of being a man. They're old school, so I guess it was a new train of thought of mine or something. So it got down to the point where when they went home, he said he was going to go ahead and give her her fair share. Everything was going to be 50-50. So the next morning, he gets up, he starts cooking for himself, and he writes out the list of everything that he does in the house. And he was saying to his surprise, he do way more stuff than he thought because as a man, he's just doing it without that. He knows that the grass needs to be cut. He knows that things need to be fixed around the house. So it's like really no issue. So he goes after writing the list up, he's finishing his breakfast, drinking coffee, and his wife come downstairs. Well, his fiance comes downstairs and says, where's my breakfast? And he was like, well, you said 50-50. So from now on, I normally do 70% of the cooking. I'm not cooking like that. We're sharing that job. And if we're not cooking dinner, you cook your food, I cook my food. So breakfast and lunch, you fend for yourself. Dinner is when you know, you do things. And far as dinner wise, that's when they cook. So the lady obliged. And so the first, he was saying far as everything, when the person is cutting the grass, the other person is in the house doing the cleaning for the week, and vice versa. And you wash your own clothes. We have designated areas in here that we have to clean up weekly. And sidebar, they have a acre of grass. And in that acre of grass, they cut with a push lawnmower. And so the first week he cuts the grass, deals with it, cool, no problem. Then turns around, the next week it's her turn. She can't start the lawnmower. He did his chores early, got up early that morning, did his chores, and he knew she was gonna start cutting the grass. So he get out there, drink his tea, and he starts looking at her, get ready to cut the grass. First day cutting the grass, couldn't start the lawnmower. She said, can you help me come start the lawnmower? He said, no, it's 50-50. We're equal. The instructions are on the lawnmower. She yells, fine. 30, 40 minutes of trying to start it, she finally starts it. She starts cutting the grass throughout, leaving patches in the grass, not cutting the grass a certain way. So after all that, he comes out, shows her what she did wrong, and she's complaining about it, but he was like, the grass need to be done right. Now he said that the place that they're at, they have to cut the grass at least twice a week for it to, look nice because the grass grows fast because of the weather and I guess the particular type of grass. So at minimum, they're cutting the grass twice a week. He's done it, no problem, cutting the grass twice a week to make it look decent, cuts it twice a week. And, they did the chores for 3 weeks. Going into the fourth week, the crazy thing happens when that mosquito happens. She falls to her knees. He come out, run to her, making sure she's okay. Cause like I said, he does his morning chores early just to see her cut the grass properly, you know. And the funny thing is, we were having a discussion about that, about him watching her cutting the grass, and he shouldn't have to watch her. She should just cut the grass. But the point of it was, he was only watching her to make sure she do it right. Because if it's not right, then over time it piles up. Next time he cut the grass, a little hill here turns into a mountain. So, I understand the whole logic of him looking at her cutting the grass and stuff. But I mean, it was just interesting how that story happens. And towards the end, she falls to her knees, crying in the yard. He goes to her, make sure she's okay, asks if there's anything wrong. And she's apologizing, like, I'm sorry. I never thought that you did this much. And he said, me neither, actually. I just did it because it needed to be done. That didn't even include the story of anything that he was fixing in the house. I mean, because the dude had a Camaro or something he was restoring as a hobby, you know. And I kind of skipped through that because I just want to get down to the relations between that man and the woman. And the crazy part was she apologized to him and she actually stopped talking to the lady. She actually blocked her and deleted and I guess blocked her and blocked her and like stopped dealing with the woman altogether basically. So the woman had no contact. She don't contact the woman and she blocked the woman so the woman couldn't have contact with her. And it was puzzling to me. Even her mom tried to initiate this with her. You were in a great relationship. Even the guy said it. He said the only thing he could say why the relationship was going south was the book club. Because before that, him and his girlfriend had no issues. 7 years of being together, no issues. Got a house together, engaged, on the premise of actually getting married, you know, and she wanted to change some rules. And I was laughing. I was like, the lady actually was gonna break up her marriage and she didn't see this like all the things that she was telling her and it was like she needed to pull her weight around the house. That was the whole argument. It wasn't that the man was treating her wrong. To a degree, okay, I can understand that the decision making that she wasn't giving an input on certain decisions, but I'm failing to realize for 7 years, you've been letting this man make decisions, and your life has, gained a house, gained a great relationship. You never had a problem up until that moment you talked to that woman. She didn't come to the realization because she was on the inside, well, it was they call the outside looking in, but she was on the inside looking out. Because if the roles were reversed, how would she feel if, he was saying that, I'm doing too much work. I need to unload some of this work onto you. And that's what happened. You know, she wanted that premise of, pulling the muscle around the house and, you know, doing all the, and I'm like, why? I wouldn't dare like tell my wife to come outside and, you know, I might tell her some stuff about fixing on the car or ask her to hand me a tool, but I wouldn't tell her get up under this car and hold this transmission while I pop this cord and I'm be holding it over there. You gotta hold it with all your strength just in case it won't fall down on us. No, wife is a delicate flower. I don't want anything to happen to her. And that's that's the biggest thing. And I'm gonna say something. I ain't gonna say nobody's name in this chat, but you know, they were talking about a situation with their boyfriend dealing with them, telling them how to move, far as going out late. And I responded to that saying that at this height right now in society, these young kids are ruthless. There's a rapper I listen to him, Black Youngster. He said they be robbing ladies and killing grandmas and ish. And he said it like so easily to roll off a tongue, like that's what's supposed to be done in society. Like, yeah, we supposed to, we with all this robbing grandmas. At at a point in life, that wasn't it. So nowadays, when a man is trying to tell you stay home, I mean, to a degree, you have to understand this. If this is someone who you choose to be with, you got to look at them rationally for the decisions that they make and have that understanding that if that person has your best interests and they're looking out for you, don't go against that because, you know, just like the police, they supposed to be here to protect and serve. That's what most men do. But it all boils down to you picking your man. Same thing with the men, with the women. I keep saying this and I'm gonna keep pushing this into this space and throughout YouTube. Like I say, my wife is the vice president and I'm the president. I take on the bulk of things. If anything happens, then I just have to make it work. Told you, my wife, she was out of work for a year. She was stressing because she thought things were going to happen, stuff. We had car payments, nothing got cut off, nothing got repossessed because I knew I had to just work harder. You know, I can put in that work, do extra work. I had a great relationship with people to the point where, I can leave one job, go to another one, don't lose nothing. I can work two jobs, don't lose no sleep, to a point and still be able to function. I stood up to the plate and I kept hitting home runs. You know, when it come down to it, the situation is we got to have the discussion with each other. Like, what are we doing in our relationships? The division on this internet is so real. Like that crab in the bucket mentality, we're far past that. You know, it's like throwing $1 million briefcase on the table and letting the men and women fight for it. The easiest thing is open the case and both of y'all take 500,000, or get together and you both have 1 million. The choice is easy. It's easy. You can literally just have 500,000. You go your way, I go my way. I always talk to the guys, and united we stand, divided we fall. Everyone around us in this space, and I keep laughing. I mean, it's funny. I was on Sheila panel, Sheila the Quiet Storm. We did a marathon deal as you would, and there were channels that were displayed that everybody's working together. We're actually going to do it Sunday. You know, I'm going to go on someone else's panel and talk. Malonzo's going to have a moment to where he's going to have it on either on his panel or someone else's panel and discuss, insurance. I gained about probably, I want to say 8 subs. No, because I was so about 20, like close to 15, 20 subs. Again, I think over 15, 20 subs by going on there, dealing with those ladies. And I keep saying this to the men. The women for the most part, most of them are working together for the greater good. We have men that work together, still no agency about the community. You know, to an extent, how are we working together? What's going on, brother? To an extent, how are we working together? These women, they just like you got a great channel. You talk about life insurance. Like I said, I stay away from these gender topics, but this was something that me and Gold Professor talked about, and I respect his knowledge and I respect his age, man. I joke about him being an old man. He even cracks on himself about being an older man. But you know, this is one of the guys I met down here in Atlanta, and he's from Cali. He came out here with in the wind. Him and Kane the God. I met Kane the God in this space. Kane the God, been to his house, family, everything. Gold Professor, him as well, on that bike, driving it all the way from California, man. That guy's a beast. He drove 23 hours nonstop, just going to get coffee and gas, filling up, and back on the road. And I was like, man, like, dude, this is like DOT regulations, man. You gotta calm down with it. And we was getting on him, but to a degree, this guy been riding, so he know his body. And I say, man, you know what you're doing, and I give you that. But age waits on nobody. Take care of yourself, man. I worry about him just like if he was my pops. If he was just like one of my uncles or something like that. You know, any of the guys in the space, I showed you the video the other day. Ran across a guy, ran out of gas. I helped him out. Said, man, I'll stay right around the corner. One got a gas can, filled it up with 2 gallons of gas out of my pocket. And then the bad part of it is I gave him gas and I actually had to go to the gas station myself. And I'm like, man, I just gave this dude gas. I don't know why I didn't fill up my tank when I was over there. Well, I just gave him the 2 gallons because I wanted to hurry up and get back to him because he was in a bad situation, bad spot, no phone, you know, and it comes down to it. Even when I give money to the homeless man, sometimes you can really honestly know that some of them actually need it and some of them just out there trying to get some other things. You know, Same thing with a woman. I mean, it was crazy. I think I told the story one time before, but there was a woman. I was driving in my work truck. There was a woman that actually flipped her car over, and by the time I was driving, excuse me, I had pulled up on her, and I seen the car flipped over, and everybody, and I'm passing her, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like everybody's there, and I hear the car, I hear the motor still revving, and the wheels are trying to turn and stuff, and so I jump out quick, pull my air brakes, jump out. I said, "What's going on? Hey, can she get out?" They was like, "No, she's stuck." The car, I was like, "Open up your sunroof." She opened up the sunroof. I went in. She was like, "It's glass and stuff." I'm like, "I'm not worrying about that." I said, "I'm gonna pick you up with my." And this lady, she's probably about close to like 100, probably like a buck 10 or something, buck 20. She wasn't even that big. I couldn't get in there the way the car was like kind of awkward. So I actually just took one hand, lift her up, popped her seatbelt, and I held her till she started, pulling her legs around to where she can come out. I made her grab her door so her whole body wouldn't drop and everything. And she came out of the car, and I was like, "Hey," and it was funny because like first thing I was like, "Hey, y'all want to push the car over?" And all the guys were looking at me like, "Man, you crazy?" It's like adrenaline kicking in, man. It was funny though, but the adrenaline was kicking in when I said it, and they was like, "Hey, dude, this is a car," and I started laughing. Then I was like, "Oh yes, hey." And they was like, "Man, you okay?" I had blood out on my hand. A guy came, gave me a rag, wiped it off, and the lady was like, "Thank you." She was like, "Can I get a hug?" I was like, "I don't care." She hugged me and stuff. I was like, "What happened?" She was like, "Man, it was a bee." So I went back in to try to turn the car off. And once I seen the liquid start flowing all out the car, I was like, "Everybody just need to get back." And they was like, "But what about you? You want to talk to?" I was like, "Nah, I got to go back to work." So I jumped in, pulled my cape off my shoulder, and I jumped back in my truck and went back to work. But it was something that I didn't want no recognition for that. They was trying to tell me, oh well, and like, what's your name? I was like, don't worry about it. I mean, I just work. I'm just a regular guy, and everybody was happy because like the whole time I'm seeing big guys, and couldn't nobody get her out. Like they couldn't understand how to get her out, and and to a degree, when the seatbelt locks like that, sometimes you gotta cut it. I mean, but me just picking her up and just jigging the seatbelt, and it just actually came because she had all her pressure. The weight of her was on the seatbelt with the pressure, and it was locked. And most of the time when people have their seatbelts and it lock, you have to keep pushing it back and then jugging it to make it come up, and that's what happened. And I mean, the crazy part, like I said, I helped the situation with both men and women. I mean, I changed women tires on the highway. It wasn't none of no simp. It's just the point of it is, just being a man. I could have easily passed by them women. They were flagging me down as I came up. One time I changed a woman tire and she had roadside helping her out was her friend that was another woman. And she knew how to change a tire, but she was scared because of the cars. I told her just, make sure I got my truck parked to where nobody won't hit you. And I came out on the passenger side, so they'll hit the front end of my truck before they hit me. And I was like, you should have got close over into the grass, which she rolled over a little bit, but it still didn't help because it was mud over there. I didn't want her to get stuck. Jacked the car up, changed the tire real quick, got on about their way, you know. So when it came down to it, no harm, no foul, and when it come down to it though, the mindset with me is starting to change about a lot of stuff because even, with abuse, if I see someone actually get into a fight with their woman, I'll stop it by talking, but I'm not putting my hand on the woman or the man. If they actually get into a fight, the only thing I could do is call the police. I cannot stop it. It's too many situations where I know of and heard of to where men get shot, killed, all this on the premise of breaking up fights between domestic abuse. Like, I actually have to go home to my family at the end of the day. It's not no shot at me trying to be a man or not be a man. It's just that don't put yourself in a predicament to where someone else's life has to be taken. The general told us the story about his friend getting shot, breaking up a fight between a man and a woman. And just like he said, this guy was a real dude. He was a street dude. He broke the fight up outside the club, and before they knew it, the guy went and got his gun, came back and shot him point blank, just because he broke up a fight between him and his girl. There are people who don't have a fear of life. And when that guy went to jail, General say he was shocked for months. He didn't even go back to that club. And once he did go back to the club, he seen the same woman arguing with another guy different. It's not that a lot of men are trying to tell women what to do. You got to understand, like, I want to go home to my family. I want to be a productive citizen. I want to make the right decisions. But in the same breath and note, we got to be on the same page. You know, avoid things. You know, plan if you do have these things what to do, and of all else, stop dealing with people. I hear this time and time again, and this is where I always push this note about family. You know, it comes a time to where if a woman is in a domestic situation, why can't she go back to her family? Why can't she go back to her family? I know of a situation like that of a woman. It just was a thought pattern of her not going back to her family. She had to get out of it. And once she got out of it, she went back to her family, you know. And that's the whole thing between family. You got to always remember they say blood is thicker than water. And it's only true when the family sticks together. This whole me mentality right now that's hurting our community and it's killing the community. Everybody's all for the self. You know, I want this out of a relationship, and if I don't get this, I don't want anything. Well, stay single. Even what I say to the divesting community and the guys and throughout, if you want to take on that opposite sex from a different race, just do it. Why should you have to announce it? If I got a cut on my finger, I shouldn't have to go to the community and tell them I got a cut. I just deal with the cut. And in this case, if I have a mosquito bite, I have to deal with it accordingly. You know, and get ready to get off of here because I have to go do a little work in a minute. But I mean, the biggest thing is, like I said, we got to work together. A lot of people are doing backdoor deals now. I mean, honestly, I keep saying this. These celebrities are coming in and taking a lot of the subs that everybody's over here arguing about. We need to have multi panels. You know, some of the big contenders like AM, O'Shea, you know, pretty much those two. I mean, Obsidian, he has a following, but those two has, pretty much a big selection that what I see. Even BGS doesn't have his numbers, but I mean, he has a big following of people that know of him and everything. Like I said, I found this space through Erica Williams. She talks about the finance, the literacy, and I still watch her. You know, even when I probably go over there, she probably don't know my name that up on the sheet we hear, but she know my original channel sheet. You know, like the biggest thing about me, I like the money aspect of life. You need money to live. That's why I talk to Alonzo a lot. I'm steady working with Alonzo, trying to get some more stuff accomplished with Alonzo. Lady Love, what's going on? Trying to steady get some stuff accomplished with Lonzo to where I can actually like he gave me a code, you know, and he was trying to do off the 10 and 20%, but I wanted to do a little better, you know. I mean, because at first when he was giving the information away for free, people still wasn't buying insurance from him. That's what I told him. I mean, if they cop out and buy the insurance like I did, can you take that away? The consultation, you know, just a $40. I mean, can I get somebody to do a $40 or $50 consultation? You know, his knowledge right now, you have people outside of our community, some inside our community, paying $200-300 for the consultation because we're working through the process of dealing with a trust right now. You know, we're about to do a review of my policy and see do I need more because of inflation. I mean, I don't blame him. He's giving me, in my fair assessment, a good amount of work. He's giving me assessment of all my policies. See, do I stand? Do I need more? Do I want more? Would it be my best decision? Do I want to add more term? Do I want to add more whole life? Do I want to transfer my policy over? I have a rider policy that have my kids on. I have a care policy that's attached to my universal life that where if anything happens to me, if I'm, can't maintain at least two normal functions like taking a bath, putting on my clothes, I automatically can pull out 75% of my money. Say if I get into a car accident and I'm in a wheelchair or I'm bedridden for so many months, I can pull up to 75% of my policy, you know, and use that. It's there. That's what I mean, that's the benefit of having these policies, knowing what vehicles you have and how they work for you. Have an understanding if you get a Toyota, what does that Toyota do for you? Or you get a Lincoln or a Maybach, or just in my opinion, the universal life is like the luxury car edition. It has the heated seats, it has heated steering wheel, it has all the extra features on there, which you have to know, or you just, you technically you can pay into something without knowing, but it's better to know what you have. Like I didn't know I had that rider policy on there as far as the care. The percent. I knew about the 7% per month. I know about all that stuff. So, Lonzo, that's another guy I chop it up with. Guys off the space, I chop it up with them. Kane, my boy Absalom, me and him connected. We pushing. Uh, Perfect timing. You know, guys, we moving. Smooth. Talk to him. Guys in the space, we move. I mean, having an understanding. Building, working with each other. I mean, for the greater good. That's why I say to an point, I don't associate myself a lot with the space, but I am a part of the space because I dwell in it. Because I do want to see, young men grow up to be, positive role models and help the next generation. And I also do want to have young ladies as well, because I always say if we build up the men, we have to build up the young ladies. Who are our men going to marry? Some of us men have daughters. Who are men going to marry if we don't give our daughters the proper instructions as well as our boys? You know, so to the women. I mean, we have a array of back and forth between the women, but at the same time, if a woman doesn't want to see her son or her daughter, do better in life, then that's just the understanding that where if the chips fall the way they laid, the woman can't get mad because they're gonna experience life when they leave your house. Same thing with the men. They're gonna actually experience life once they leave your house, and all the training and prepping that you gave them. If it doesn't work, they're gonna look back at you. You know. Yeah, I've been on here too long, man. But for the degree, man, everybody needs to work together. I mean, the Viral team over there going strong. Lady Love, you got Miss V, you knew, at it again, Boss Man. They got a team over there. And that's the only way you can win. Dame Dash said it best. A boss can't do nothing without a team, you know. So like always, shout out to everybody came through, and for the most part, man, it's generational, man. I want to see some of the PhDs in this space do some panels, you know, as a collective. We need that, to see that. A lot of these guys crying and whining, shaming and blaming and complaining. Same thing with the women. I get tired of that. I want to see the results, the fruits of the labor. I want to have the discussion of something going right. I mean, why haven't we started a foundation yet? If I got to do it, I'll do it. I won't even have to hold the money. We can give the money to one of the PhDs to hold it. I mean, it don't matter to me. I give my money, but my thing is, with giving my money, I got to understand who and what I'm giving my money for. You know, as a collective, you know, we have a lot of channels in this space with good information, great potential to spread to everyone and give them a vast knowledge. But the point of it is, how are we helping each other instead of hurting each other? That's my biggest thing that I'm trying to figure out with everybody. How are we doing more helping than hurting? But like I always say, man, I always drop it to the end. Knowledge yourself. You got to work on you. You got to be a better version of you. So until next time, like always, we here and we gone. Shout out Dr. Dunbar. I ain't forgot about you, man. We need to still have that chop up.